are listening to the Snocross podcast, presented by Amsoil.
Hey, Cheddar Bob.
Oh, there's Bob.
There's Bob. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil. Doing something a little different this week. We got Ryan Uotinen. He works in staging for us. And we have race director Bobby Wherritt with us. And, of course, me and Haley as your hosts. We're going to do it live this week. We're going to have a little video session. So let's get the show started here. Bobby, how's it going today?
Good. How about you guys?
Oh, pretty well. Still warming up after the last weekend.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was, we're always thankful to be racing, of course, but that was cold. I don't know that I've ever been out in those cold attempts, but we made it. We pushed through, and yeah, definitely a lot warmer right now indoors for sure.
Ryan, how about you? How you doing?
Well, last year at Buffalo River was just as cold, so you have been in that cold.
Yeah,
in Colorado.
But I was inside for both of those, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was where
How
Scoob
cold was it
is.
last weekend for you, Matt and Haley? Was it cold for you guys?
Haley
Haley actually was outside quite a bit.
Our
actually
tank ran out once, so it was cold.
It wasn't terrible. The hardest part was walking to the back side of the pits, like off the back stretch, because I didn't have a vehicle, nor if I did, would it probably have started in the cold. But that long walk in the, in the wind was pretty brutal. But I should not complain because I got to be up in the booth, and actually we had a makeshift studio set up. So Kirk and Ted from the production team, they had set up this studio with backdrops, and we just had like riders and mechanics and whatnot come in throughout the weekend instead of having us to venture out into the cold in the pits. We made them do it and come to us. So it worked out really well.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget. I was helping my good buddy Ryan in staging. I said, Bob, can you give me a hand on Saturday morning? Sure, I can give you a hand. So it's 112 below zero without wind chill. And our printer goes down. So our good buddy Scoob says, just check your phone. So who does Ryan give the phone to? Me. So we're passing this phone back and forth with bare hands. Can't feel a single digit on either hand. And it was brutal. I was really happy to be helping my good friend out at that time. But we made it. Right, Link?
Yeah, you did like one race.
Hey,
come on.
At the end of the day, we pulled it off. It was ridiculously cold. We're now halfway through the season. What are you guys thinking halfway in? Any class you want. Throw any class you want. We'll talk about it.
Pro light.
That's
been it's been the talk this year. 8 different winners, if I'm not mistaken, right, Haley?
That's right. 8 different winners. And we mentioned that, and that's like impressive in and of itself. But out of curiosity, when I got home, I started to look back to like 2014, 2015 is about as far as I got. And that's kind of when, a lot of our current pro light riders they're starting to taper off at that point. We didn't have as many in pro light yet. But I was looking at the number of winners we've had each season, and let me pull it up here. We had in 2015-16 and 18-19, we had 7 winners. And in 14-15, we had 6, 16-17, 17-18, 5 winners. In 2019-2020, just last year, only 4 winners. So we got 8, and we're only halfway through the season.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And I think it can be anyone's game, but most impressively is Jordan Lebel. He had that crazy injury, and was it ERX, I think? Where he crashed. Yeah. And to know he's already back first off, and then his first race back, he wins. I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do the rest of the year, but for sure it's anyone's game in pro light. It's been a fun class to watch for sure.
Besides Lebel, who do you think is the biggest surprise out of those 8 winners?
Evan Doubt for me. I mean, coming off a shoulder injury, not saying he can't win. I know he can win, but having the collarbone issue, just the race previous in Deadwood. Was it Deadwood?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, it was Iowa. But then resting up in Deadwood and then coming out and getting the win was huge for him.
And not only that, but I'm pulling it up to confirm, but I believe it's been 2 or 3 years since Evans won. So it's
he's
been
podiumed, but I don't know that he's won, right?
Unless my notes are leading me astray, I have Deadwood and Salamanca in 2016, 2017, but my notes are at the mercy.
Winning in Deadwood.
You do remember him winning?
I thought so in Deadwood.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if any come off as a surprise necessarily. Like with what Ryan said, I do agree. I mean, watching Evan, whether it was collarbone or shoulder, whatever it was, when that happened, we all thought, oh boy, worst case scenario, he might be done, and then he comes back and wins. So on a injury recovery side of things, surprising for sure. On a talent side of things, like Ryan said, no surprise, but cool to see him up there. Otherwise, I honestly think it's anyone's game. And out of the 8 winners, none of them are like, holy cow, I can't believe he pulled that off essentially.
Well, yeah. And I think there's so many more that can win. Like look at Carson.
For sure.
I think Carson Allred's going to win one and soon here. I mean, he's led 90% of the final and unfortunately in Deadwood had an issue, but he's had other success. I think he's going to be another one that gets another win or gets a win soon.
And someone who's top 3 in points right now who has not won is Corbin Anderson. So he's due.
Oh, yeah. That'd be good to see, too.
And Travis Kern. Can't leave him out of the mix. He's been running really good, too.
He has a couple podiums and a win. And I didn't realize how long Travis has been around in Pro Light. Someone was just telling me like 7 years.
Really?
Or something like that, that I have to confirm that. So Travis, if you're watching, please confirm that for us. But that's so he's one of the class veterans, and it was cool to see him win a few weeks ago, but he's definitely poised to do another. He's been running well.
All right, Bobby, what's the second class?
I mean, pro is always good, right? But pro women, actually, I have to say, it's been a Malene Anderson, Megan Brodeur battle, and not taking anything away from the others out there. They're all running really good. Tasha Lang, of course, Taven Woody's out, unfortunately. But it's been fun. I know in years past, there's been some dominant winners in the pro women class, and we can kind of predict who might come out and win. But this year, it's kind of been a toss up, and it's fun to watch for sure. I like seeing that battle between the two. And then again, if those two are battling hard, it leaves the opportunity for those in third place to potentially come up and steal it away. So it's been good. It's been a good mix up, fun to watch for sure.
It has, and no one's running away with it. Megan last year, what was it? Something crazy, like 11 wins in a row. She hasn't done that. The points are super close right now. I know for sure it's within 10 points, maybe 5. So it's very, very close. And to see someone like Tasha Lang been super consistent, and Inanna Hauger, who I still think that this is one of her breakout years. She's had a number of podiums, and she's made so many changes this year to get to where she is. So I know Inanna and Tasha both, so 2 of our very youngest riders. So they have a very long career ahead of them, but both, and actually a number of our pro women riders looking good this year.
For sure. And I'm glad you said Inanna's name. I was drawing a blank on trying to think of who else, but yeah, she's coming off a nasty injury last year too. So really cool to see her. It's cool that, and you even go down further to like the junior girls 9 to 13 class. This year we have what do we have? Like 15 riders, I think, right? That's huge. I know in years past, it's been more of a limited rider count, and to know that these young girls are coming up, it's going to only make for a better class for the women. So it's exciting to see for sure.
Definitely. I know Taven, I was just chatting with her yesterday. She is so pumped to be back. She had said that actually on, I think it was Saturday night. Now she's crushing it in the booth. We're super excited to have her. But I asked her, I'm like, how is it being at the track? Like, and just, watching every single lap, is it therapy for you or is it hard? And she's like, it's good in a way, but she said on Saturday night, she just broke down. Like, I can't imagine someone like her who's been up there in the championship conversation to have to watch it all from the sidelines. Man, there's so much heart that goes into it for any rider, but for someone like her and how close she's been for a few years now, that's tough.
For sure.
Definitely.
All right, Haley, you're up. Pick a class.
Sport, man. We are
I was thinking sport.
Dude, it is so close right now. Let me see.
It's tied at the top.
It is Kyle Kunzman and Adam Ashline.
Yeah.
Kyle had however many podiums in a row, and he slipped just incrementally as of recent, and Adam's been looking really good, but this is exciting.
Did he win? He won both days, right?
Ashline
did?
Did he?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I know Friday for sure, and I'm 99% sure Saturday he took it as well. No, that's sport class. I was just saying to your defense, Haley, it's so fun to watch those guys because they're on the edge. I mean, obviously, we all probably get a little bit nervous and tense up when they go out there because you never quite know what's going to happen. No offense to them, but they're looking at that pro light, that pro ranking. They're looking to make that next step, and they're trying to prove themselves every race out there. So it's fun for sure to watch them.
And it's going to be interesting to see who may be stepping up to pro light next year, because a number of the riders that have stepped up to pro light this year, Caden Woody, of course, Jordan Lebel, Matt Lamorier, I believe, both have seen successes this year, especially Jordan Lebel. So it's definitely a not only a feeder system for the pro and pro light, but it's been fun to watch.
Let's talk about that gap a little bit, because like you talk about Caden Woody and Carson Allreed and Lebel all making the jump. Last year, all three of those guys were battling for wins. This year, it seems like obviously Jordan Lebel just came back. He won right off the bat. Carson he's running up front. He's having a good year. And Caden's struggling a little bit. So what do you think that difference is? Why is it that some people kind of pick up where they left off and, some people might struggle a little bit? What do you think what's the reasoning for that?
I think the biggest thing, the competition for sure. But especially on the start, like in the sport class, if you don't get a good start, you can, given the right circumstances and the speed and depending on the rider, you can make your way through the pack. But in pro light, due to the competition, if you don't get a good start, it is a lot harder to make up ground.
For sure. The level of equality, they're also equal going out there. Not that sport isn't, but it's like you say, if one jumps out and gets 12th on the final, to jump up one or two spots only is pretty common, depending. I mean, even the best of the best riders, you know what I mean? It's not like they can go zinging by them. Where in sport class, there might be a little bit more flexibility on that side of things. But yeah, competition for sure. And then of course, there's always the sled issues or, ongoing problems, that mechanical problems we might not know about too. But yeah, I would go with Ryan on that for sure. The competition level, no offense to anybody, it's just straight across the line, pretty even all the way,
And to both your guys' points, like, your sport classes, it's so focused on growth and development. And once you get to pro, it's like, okay, you're making it now. You're under the pro ranks. So it's kind of like there's a threshold to break through in order to get there. And so you just see more of a talent gap in the sport. And that's just from guys and women too, just trying to, close the gap and get better as they move on to pro light.
For sure. Okay, well, let's go snow bike.
Let's do snow bike.
You're kind of the snow bike queen here, so let's lead us off here.
Dude, I was looking at points last night. Jesse Kirchmeier, he's been flawless, 400 points. He's poised to make 800 if he can keep it up. And the reason why Jesse is so dominant is he just puts in more seat time than anyone. Now, the last few weeks, I think before Deadwood, it was between Iowa and Deadwood. He actually had, I think it was like mono and strep throat, one of the variations of it. And he didn't have any seat time, but even still, like he just puts in the hours and it shows. Troy Horbody, one of our youngest riders, 16 years old, and just narrowly was able to make it down to the States this year. One of the few from Canada able to make it down to race. He's been showing results. Keaton Ward been consistently on the box for the last few seasons. He's the king of saves. If you saw what happened in Moto 2 on Saturday, one of our riders came down off a jump and just got squirrely, and Keaton had to just navigate around him. And that's really tricky to do on a snow bike because they're not just as much point and steer as a sled. You really have to just trust the bike. It's going to go where it's going to go. And he maintained it, got her back on track and got a podium spot. So those three, it's been exciting. And while we have been hurting a little bit for numbers this year, just because of the border situation, with the pandemic, X Games being canceled, we did have two newcomers this last weekend from NASBA competition. So NASBA is the series that's predominantly West-based, out in the mountains. So very different style of racing for these two gentlemen. And I'm not 100% sure, hope to see more of them. But at any rate, it's good to see more riders come out.
Troy has been very impressive. I mean, to be, like you say, 16 years old, and he's holding his own out there for sure. I could see him being a top runner here in the next 3-4 years.
I want to see him squeak one by Jesse. I mean, to see Jesse win them all. Jesse's amazing, but to see Troy get by him, I'd like to see it just to mix things up a little bit. He's knocking on the door. He was
top qualifier last weekend.
Yeah, I think you're right.
On Saturday.
Yeah, he's that's the ultimate goal right now for Troy, is he wants to dethrone Jesse, and I know he's going for it. But with any of the competitors in snowbike, like, everyone is best buds. I know they're going to race each other clean, but man, if anyone wants it, it's Troy, most definitely. What else is cooking what's cooking in pro these days? Elias Ischel, he's been holding on to that red plate since Iowa.
Yeah, he's on another level for sure. In a very complimenting way. The kid's he's good. He's real good. But I think honestly, pro this year, we could probably all agree, maybe Elias is on a different level, but everyone else, it's pretty, I think anyone could essentially win at this point out of the 15 riders. And I think it's the most competitive group we've had in quite a few years, which is super fun. There's always seems to be that one dominant, whether it was Tucker Hibbert years past, now Elias Ischel, but moving back, 2nd through 15th in the finals, it's pretty wide open, I feel like.
Yeah, Trent Whitworth getting a podium last weekend.
That was huge.
Huge.
That was so massive for him, because he had said it in his podium interview. He said the last year and a half he's been through hell, just like having change ups in his program. Now he's back on Arctic Cat working with his dad, and it's been good for them, but that's not to say they have not struggled very much so this year. And a lot of that has been due to his wrist. So it's really, really good to see Trent Whitwer up here in his sophomore year getting that first pro podium. And I hope there's more where that came from, because in pro light and sport, which through the ranks, he's moved up very quickly. He had phenomenal years. So there's a bright future in pro, and it's good to see him, starting to show some definite speed this last weekend.
Yeah. And him and Hunter Patnode have actually kind of progressed together. When Hunter won his sport championship, he was battling with Whitwer, and same in pro light. Hunter was battling with Whitwer for wins, and now they're both in the pro class. So it's cool. They both have podiums, and it's cool that they're both, at the top of their game in the pro class.
For sure. We have a Lincoln Lemieux who started off the season super hot, won the opening round. He had a DNF the next night due to the side panel coming off the sled. A few podiums in there, but he's just kind of hit a little bit of lull in the season. Of course, Deadwood was just not good luck for him. He was so happy to have it behind him. He was able to get a 5th on a Friday night in Fargo, but he was amid some pretty good battles this weekend.
Yeah, Lincoln's for sure. I mean, he's won the season opener the past 3 years. He's been second in points numerous times, and he's third in points right now overall. But you can never count the kid out. He's truly fast, and if there's anybody that's going to run down Ischel, he's for sure a top contender for that. Do I think Ischel's going to be tough to run down? Of course. But if anyone was going to do it, I wouldn't bet against Lincoln.
Definitely. And Ischel too, there's so much we can say about Elias, like the way he has won this year has not been from starting on the front row and just running away with it. No, he has started from the back row and won. He has had starts that were less than ideal, and he's worked his way through. So regardless if he does have a commanding lead when the checkered flies, he has had to work for it, and it's not been boring to watch by any means, because no one wants to see anyone just run away with it,
If I'm not mistaken, when we were in Deadwood, I think him and Cody lapped all the way up to 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just insane. I mean, even for Cody, after coming off an injury last year, from Canterbury, I believe his injury was.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the season last year, and, for him to come back, get one, does he have 2 podiums now?
2. Yep. He had a 3rd and a 2nd in Deadwood.
Yeah. And, he's coming on strong. Didn't show everything he has last weekend. But, him and Oscar, they're running good.
Do you guys remember that year in Duluth when Tucker lapped the entire field?
Is that Duluth or Deadwood? Was that Duluth?
Duluth. It was the first race of the year. It was Sunday. That's Sunday.
I'll never forget when he in Deadwood. What I'm thinking of is when he fell off. I think the opening lap was almost lapped and came back and won. And I remember the Deadwood crowd going insane because I had never seen anything like it.
Wasn't that for his 100th win too?
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
So it was a huge deal. That was fun to watch.
The rumor mill has it Tucker made an appearance in Fargo. I don't know if you guys had seen him. I know I didn't. He was and with the cold too, you were masked up, like eyes only showing, wearing all black. I had heard he had been spotted around the pits.
I think it'd be cool to have him around.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
he's an ambassador of the sport.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And even when we have Blair around, the people go nuts. They love Blair. And he's such a good guy. I mean, can't blame him, but it'd be awesome to get those greats back together and be awesome to do something like this with them.
Yeah, we could put a fifth screen in this little thing and have Tucker on it, right? 5 of us.
I would love that, Tucker. If you're listening, please. We want more of you.
Chime in, yeah.
One of these times, get Tremblay too. He was talking about that on his podcast last spring. Is just getting together with Tucker and Blair and Robbie, all these guys, just to have a little round table. So we want to make it happen. That's for sure. But hope to see them all around. Speaking of Tremblay, it sounds like they were supposed to come back. Him and Sam Blouin back for Deadwood, but just because of the border, that's not happening. So they're going to try to make it towards the end of the season. But unfortunately, no sighting of Tremblay yet, who was, I believe, going to come back and race Pro-Am plus 30.
Yeah, and I talked to Tim this week, and he said they're not coming to, at least at this point in the season, because of, obviously, like you said, the border, and they wouldn't be able to get back and see their kids. And he said that's just too much to get over right now. So
for sure. But on to talk about some more of our pro teams, like Kyle Pauline, Team LaValle, Adam Peterson, current Pro Light points leader. They're looking great this year.
Yeah, it's awesome. Obviously, they were Team of the Year last year, and they're coming out swinging again this year. Their whole team is doing excellent. Even Riley Bester is putting up some solid numbers, and that whole crew is gelling really well. And obviously, the whole Polaris program is grown immensely over the last couple of weeks. They struggled at the beginning part of the year, but now since Deadwood, they've been very solid.
Yeah, Riley. Poor Riley. He's had some bad luck this year. I mean, just problems. And then, when we were in Fargo, I think he ended up hurting his back there, came off the sled and hurt his back a little bit, tweaked it. I don't think it was anything too major, but I really hope to see him up on the podium. He's a great kid and fun to watch.
For sure.
You know what I love too with speaking of LaValle's team is Kyle Pauline. You love Kyle just because he's Kyle, right? But as a racer, this year we went to the 10 minutes plus 2 laps, and it essentially is separating the men from the boys, if you want to call it that. But Kyle might not be one that comes up and wins. But no matter where he is, no matter if he falls off first lap or gets in a top 5 off the whole shot, that kid will charge till the end and make passes till the very end. Like his stamina, his shape, his talent he's always there. If that makes sense, even though he might not be on the podium, the kid he's definitely a hard charger for sure.
For sure.
Always trying, never gives up. He doesn't care if he knows he's going to keep in 15th. He's going to stay there and he's going to still push till the end.
What about Warner? It's Dan Benham. He's not out for the season. Potentially could be making an appearance towards the latter weekends. But also Francis has been up there, a podium for him and a couple of top 4s.
I think he's a Rookie of the Year contender. I think Francis is fast. And I don't know. It sucks to see Benham go, but Francis, he's he's going to be really fast in the coming years.
Most definitely. Yeah, he's had the speed to run in pro for a minute now with just how well he's done in pro light the last couple of seasons. So no surprise there to see him doing well. And like you said, there's a big career ahead of him there. And other rider, just want to make sure to mention Jacob Yerk is Zanstra Motorsports. He's so good. He had his first pro win at Deadwood, which, wow, talk about a comeback story and just fighting back after that big injury a year ago.
That was in Deadwood too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you get hurt in Deadwood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually where we saw so much carnage this year in the Polaris corner, that left-hander before the finish. That was where it happened. And that's where it seemed like a lot of people have gotten hurt and that's, just a product of the conditions and the racing that Deadwood produces. But it's good to see him make actually a very quick comeback after that. He was actually ready to come back last season in Michigan, but just good to see him come out with a win a year later.
Great for him and the entire team, Nick and the entire team. I mean, they worked their butts off, and to see, a team like that, not a big known team, to get a pro win is just absolutely huge.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I remember the last time it was done. It's been done by not like a true factory team. I couldn't tell you the last guy to do it.
I remember when Travis Muller did it in pro light. In New York, I believe, but pro, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's good to see. I remember Jacob Yerk last year after that injury. I couldn't tell you the extent of the injury besides horrible. And the next day, I think it was the next day, it was a Friday, he got injured. On Saturday, I'm walking through the pits and I happened to see him and his dad walking up. And like always, they always say hi, they're great people. And I said, Jake, I'm happy to see you here. How are you doing? He goes, well, I'm hurting. He goes, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm feeling every bit of it, but I wanted to show up to sign autographs for my fans. And I'm like, wow, that's huge. You know what I mean? He was in a hospital bed. He got transferred to his hotel bed and he told his dad, bring me to that racetrack so I can connect with my fans. So that just goes to show you, it's he's dedicated and he's a diehard, and it's awesome to see him get a win for sure.
Definitely. And on that note, and in terms of being an Arctic Cat teammate, if you will, or an ex-teammate, but also one of the premier Arctic Cat riders, Logan Christian, who Christian family does so much for the fans with their giveaways and just giving back to the sport with hosting some regional events on their property. But Logan Christian actually was in a very, very impressive run in the last round in Fargo. I was talking with Josie after in the recap, and she's like, yeah, he's never been a super aggressive rider, but the moves he was making, just very methodical and patient to solidify that second place finish for Logan. And that's fantastic. One of the local runners who has a lot of fans in that area, but one of the class veterans. And he's always been able to get a number of podiums each year. So a solid run for Logie.
Still looking for that first win though.
Still.
And I always go back to that time in Jackson Hole when he was leading with one corner to go and Tucker got by him. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. You think as a great friend, those guys are great friends. You think you would have just gave it to him.
Yeah. I mean, he's only got $1 million.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Logan's he's been around the longest in the pro class. 2010, 2011 was his first season, and it's been so close for so many years.
How old is he?
He's, I want to 29, 28.
Yeah, I think 20. He's still young. Mm-hmm. I mean, Snocross.
Compared to you old man.
Wow. Wow. Here we go. Yep, I had to retire from my racing career a few years ago.
What career was that?
Right, exactly. Registration. Now I'm race directing.
Well, let me ask you about just the, with race directing. I myself am very curious how it works, but you guys have had to make some calls this year, and we don't need to get into it specifically, but what is the process when something questionable happens on track? Like, where does it go from there? Like, how do you guys end up making a call, even if that call is made, minutes or hours sometimes after a race is made or after a race is finished?
Yeah. It's obviously the toughest part of the job for sure, but Jesse, Scott, and I feel really well together. I love working with those guys. And basically, if one of us three sees something on track, we let the other one know. If it's something we feel confident with at that moment, we'll penalize as needed during that race. If it's something we're unsure about, don't want to necessarily make that call and penalize somebody for maybe not making a mistake, we'll review it in the booth afterwards. That being said, too, we also take word from our other flaggers and officials. So if somebody sees, let's say, a jump under yellow, if it's they're 100% confident and we know for a fact, yes, let's go ahead and dock that rider. But many times it seems to be something where we wait till the end of the race just to assure that the penalty is necessary and that it did in fact happen. But it's a tough spot. I mean, many people say, hey, you should penalize if you see a jump under yellow, dock them right away, let them, drop back as needed and continue to race. Well, then the other half say, wait till afterwards and review it because you might be penalizing this rider that didn't have an infraction. So it's tough for us because we have to keep that in mind and we try to be respectful as we can with that. But as far as the process goes, most times after a big race, any of the pro classes, the sport classes, Jesse, Scott, and I will get together. If not, just talk about it, go meet in the booth and check out a replay and go from there. So, it's tough. There's a process that we have and I feel we do it as best we can, but it's never easy for sure. And to some it's the right way and to others it's the wrong way, but we got to do what we feel is best, obviously.
Like you guys said, it's a super high pressure position to be put in and you never want to have to be put in those positions, but it's racing and things like that happen. Now you mentioned looking at footage and I've just cause usually Carl's up in the tower with the announcers and I've seen he has all these different camera angles. So is it accurate to say the TV truck, they're recording all angles, even if it's not on the live stream. So you guys are able to look at an incident from however many angles it was recorded on by the cameras.
Yeah, correct. And we can see if there's a replay needed. We can have Joe in CTN in the truck look at the angles provided at that exact race. There isn't always footage on what obviously we need to see. Say there's an incident in 7th and 8th place, and all of the cameras are focused on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. That's an unfortunate circumstance where you can't actually see what had happened. But no, you're right. In fact, a call made earlier this year, we went into it was a delayed call for obvious reasons that we wanted to make sure it was right. But our producer of the Snocross show, Joe Harrowitz, gave me a raw link to basically every minute of every camera angle shot, even if it was dead air, with the flag blowing. And we were able to search through that. Actually, he did, thankfully, and he found the exact incident that we needed to fortunately prove ourselves correct on the call. Now, obviously that could bite us in the butt, if in fact it was the other way, but we got lucky. But yeah, it's a love-hate relationship with replays for me. I love it for the fact that we can back our calls, but I also hate it because I'm also a believer that if you feel there's a penalty, maybe you should serve it and race back to that position without all of a sudden, a half hour after getting 3rd place, you're being told, hey, you got 6th because you jumped under yellow, but at the same time, it reassures your decision. So I get it. It's a love-hate relationship. And I feel like everyone feels, that way on it, obviously, but cameras help. They do help for sure.
Definitely.
Okay. I've got one more group of questions before we end this show.
Cool. And I have one that's not just kind of a goofy one at the end. So or wherever. So you go with it. So
usually at the end of the year at the banquet, we usually give some cool awards like Team of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved. Let's see what you guys think. We're halfway through the season. Who do you guys think is the Rookie of the Year right now?
I'm still going with Hunter. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Francis has been consistent. But
are we talking pro or all classes?
Consistent too, hasn't he?
Rookie of the Year, I would say it can be sport up.
You got to give us these questions beforehand to, give us some time to think.
Oh, no.
That is so tough. But based on what we had seen first night in Fargo, and this was his first pro light race, because mind you, he was injured in the first round, Jordan Lebel.
Yeah.
You took my answer. Yeah. I feel strongly on that as well. Just the way he rode last weekend after an injury, it's like he hadn't even been off the sled. He's just, he's another one that moved up through the ranks quick and well deserving of it. And to still be proving himself, going back to our earlier in our podcast here, when we were saying that at the pro light level, they're all so equal. Well, he's still advancing in my eyes. You know what I mean? He's still taking those steps to progress forward. And I would say I would pick Lebel for sure.
Ryan, you staying with Hunter?
Yeah, Hunter or Francis. I think I'm going to have to go with Francis, though. I mean, he's been more consistent as in the front, more towards the second half of what we've done. But Hunter was really strong at the beginning half. So I'm going to pick them both.
And
Can I do that? Can I give them both awards?
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
And I think, like, to your point on Francis, or on Francis too, he's been strong, but to Hunter, to be leading the pro points coming out of the first weekend to get a 4 and a 2 or vice versa. Forgive me, I can't remember exactly the order, but that's impressive. We have a lot of racing left to go, so this will be very telling for Francis and Hunter. Hunter's had a bit of a tough go lately, so it's all about how he's going to rebound from that here in the latter half of the season. So.
How about, though, let's go back to pro women. How about Tasha Lang and Inanna Hager? I mean, they're, for that class, in my opinion, they've been doing Skubic. You're going to talk. I can see it, but they're doing well.
Yeah, they're super fast, but the problem is they're not rookies.
Oh, rookie of the year. Yeah. Hello. How about, I was just thinking most improved. I was going most improved.
Yeah, let's go most improved.
Yeah, most improved.
Tasha
that's my
did it last year.
She did?
Yep.
Okay.
That's a tough one. Honestly, I would think about going Trent Whitwer.
Good call.
I don't know. I mean, he's got one podium and he's been hurt most of the season.
Better than he did last year.
That is very true. Very true.
One podium, but also, if I'm not mistaken, a qualifier win.
Yep.
So all in all, a really good day on Friday. It's just going to be, it's going to come down to, I think, is he going to be able to get this wrist pain under control? Because he was saying before Fargo, he took a cortisone shot and that helped, but he can get like one day on that cortisone shot, one day of riding before it's just shot. So that may have come into play on Saturday. I'd say it's very likely. So that's just an injury that came pre-season. So it's been a minute now, but he hasn't taken much downtime on it. So,
or another most proved I'd go Corbin Anderson.
Oh,
I think I can get all three of you on board with this one. Taylor Cole.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
for sure.
Yeah.
He is running strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, for his incident on Friday and then coming back off of that and getting, I believe he got 5th place on Saturday last week.
Yep.
And several podiums. And he's been riding really good.
For sure.
He really has, one of our pro light winners this year. And I feel like it's okay to talk about this now because it's a very sensitive situation. What happened on Saturday. It sounds like the gas cap had fallen off. Gary Walton from Ridex 365 had posted a picture of this, and that will happen when you're pushing these sleds to the absolute edge. And some of these taller riders, what's happening is their knees are hitting it just because of where the gas cap is located on these Polaris sleds. So it's, no one's fault necessarily. It's one of those racing things, but it just looked super, super bad. And I believe what happened is the fuel had spilled onto the brakes, which were super hot, caused it to go up in flames, but no major burns for Taylor Cole. But the fact that they were able to get another sled together and come out and be competitive on Saturday night. Wow.
Fortunately, it was actually me and Bob that were there first. And, fortunately, we were in the right place at the right time to get that fire put out really quick. And I believe it was Jesse Thielen, Mitchell Thielen's dad, came over and he had a pick coat on me, threw that on him to try to put the fire out. And actually, he did not get a different sled. I was told by his dad that he actually ran the same sled Polaris got them part, and they were able to put that sled back together and race that same sled Saturday.
No way.
Even more impressive.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That was, and I can only imagine. Let me ask you this from your guys' perspective. You're down there. Those flames had to have felt like forever. It was a matter of seconds, but just being down there in the thick of it, like that was I can imagine that felt like an eternity.
I said after the fact, that was the first time that weekend that it was actually warm. Unfortunately, it was a fire on the sled and a human, but you know, it was scary. It felt like something forever that we've never seen. And yeah, it literally felt like it was like 10 minutes long to get that thing out. And then there was actually a video out there that somebody had and did see that. And it was like literally like 3 seconds, I think, that we had him out. And it was very grateful that he was good and okay after that and no burns.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay. Well, I got one more. How about Team of the Year?
Jimmy Johns.
Thinking.
You're going Boss.
I'm going Boss.
What do we base this off of? Is this overall results? Is it minimal mechanicals?
Kind of a little bit of everything. You know, it could be from results, could be to supporting like Snocross as a whole. Just kind of whoever you think did an excellent job that year.
Oh, this is so tough because
it is tough.
Like if we look at results alone, it's been so spread out for almost all of our classes. All of our teams are so great when it comes to fan interaction and just making themselves available to fans and engaging. Obviously, this year has its challenges with COVID, but putting us on the spot here.
Haley, you go.
No, you go.
I will. I mean, Boss for this Jimmy John, Boss Racing for the fact that their overall accomplishments, but as there are other teams, of course, the fact that what they had to go through as well for COVID, you know what I mean? The coming from overseas, the paperwork and everything else, that was the dedication they put forth. And I know Elias, I believe Jordan as well. Once they cross, they're here to stay, all family back home. So that commitment just to do that for essentially ISOC racing is huge, and again, they're not the only team by any means, but just a shout out to all those teams for that commitment. It doesn't go unknown for sure.
Yeah. We need those guys.
Yeah.
And
everyone.
More
has
on
Garrett
Boss
been
too.
able to come across? I haven't even seen him once this year. I don't think.
I don't believe so.
No.
Huh.
I don't think so. And with Boss too, like Jordan, the whole time he was injured, he's here. He's 16 years old and has to recover from such a major injury. I believe his mom was here for the injury for ERX, thankfully. But other than that, he's been flying solo, and that's not without a phenomenal team that supports him through that. And Jamie Chaney, like he is such a he's one bad dude. He has these sleds ripping. Of course the results are showing it, but that's one thing that Jordan Lebel just gave absolute credit to is him, his mechanic Jesse, and the whole team is they've got it figured out and they've been dominant. The results show it. So, and also they put out I don't know if you guys saw it, but Boss Racing, I know on Instagram yesterday, put out a post about how they've been getting some flack and comments online about the fact that they're riders and everyone's wearing masks. And I would just like to kind of defend them too, and saying like the fact that anyone's bringing that up and kind of like poking at them for it, like they are doing their part, because as they said, like if one of their team members, anyone, is to contract the virus, that puts the championship at stake. So everyone's doing their part to keep everyone safe here, whether you love the masks or you hate them. It's what we got to do to go racing, and also just to keep these athletes safe. So props to Boss for going out there and saying that. Again, it's just a shame that would, they had to say something, because it's very smart on their part.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Haley, finish out the show.
Okay. I asked you guys with off-road, because we had these guys on the Championship Off-Road podcast presented by Amsoil. If you hadn't had a chance to listen, go check that out. But I think I asked you guys something to the effect of
I know where this is going.
Which Pro 4 rider in a foot race would win this thing? Who would it be from the pro class if they just, one lap start to finish?
Kyle Pleen, hands down.
Ah,
yeah. Kyle Pleen.
We got it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just think the kid is he doesn't get tired. He's a big cross country skier and he works out like a madman, I'm sure. And I don't know. I've been around him so many times coming off the track. It's like, dude, you just raced for 12, 13 minutes as hard as you possibly can. You're not even breathing hard, So I just think, I would take Kyle for sure.
I'm going Emil Haar.
I was going to say Emil Haar too.
There you go.
And the reason being is talking to Juddy. He said that Emil, they actually call him Mooses. He is an avid moose hunter. And I guess I know nothing about moose hunting, but you have to sprint through the forest up in the Arctic Circle to find the moose. And, that takes some athleticism. So I asked Juddy, he's like, hands down, it would be Emil who wins the foot race. So Matt, that's also my pick.
Yep. Same.
Well, that being said, let's have those 2 foot races. Haar?
Yeah. He's been a good runner too this year for Rookie of the Year.
Definitely.
What do you got, Matt? You disagree with me? Or
I'm just gonna agree.
You're gonna agree? But you kind of look like you have that face on you that's disagreeing.
No, I agree.
I still want to see Emil and Kyle run on foot together, race each other.
We should try to get this going.
Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we have this, and then in off-road, we're getting Luke Combs to the race. So we got a lot of things to accomplish. Yeah, I think one of the 2 things are a lot easier than the other.
The Luke Combs thing. That one's easy.
For sure. That's a lot easier.
Easy.
Just shoot him a text, Scoob.
Yeah, perfect. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to the Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil. A little different this week. Obviously, thanks to Bobby and Ryan for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks and see you in Sioux Falls.
You are listening to the Snocross podcast presented by Amsoil.